make it so that it's faster for you to deploy. You get hey, there's only like 20 ways to do everything Niagara, right? So how do we help you get to the right way faster and help the new people figure out how to do it? So how do we create tools and things within Niagara that help us do that faster? So increasing the speed of deployment and the accuracy of deployment is a big piece of this. Security is just our world today. I will say one of the good things I believe about Tridium being a part of Honeywell has really gone all in on the security piece, and they are really leading the way, and they make sure that we are leading the way. So we are security first. We are the most secure. We do it the most secure way by default. You can make it less secure, but you have to do that. And continue migration of legacy systems and being able to support those legacy systems and bring them forward. That's always been a part of who we are. A little bit more around that, like I said, the UI, the light and dark themes, redundancy. That's, for me, I think that's one of the most exciting things that we're coming out with, is being able to support redundancy. So within the Jace, that redundancy should carry over to the optimizers, because the optimizer is built on Niagara. So they'll be able to have that same redundancy in the optimizer controller. So we've been getting a ton of requests for that. Mission critical environments. Obviously, a bunch of hospitals, data centers are huge with it. I think what we're going to see is, maybe not on the first deployment, but as we deploy it and make it more robust, we're going to see more and more people, even in data centers, moving to this is going to solve their problems better than what they're going to when they're going to PLCs. Edge solutions, we continue to push Niagara down further and further to the edge. I think you're going to see it broken apart in smaller pieces. Two things that brings is ability to take smaller pieces and move them to an edge solution, because you don't need the full stack. The other thing that helps is when we update a Niagara version, we're not going to have to update every whole stack. We may only have to update a piece of the stack. What that should do is faster updates with less interruption. I think that's going to be a huge piece too, that we'll find to be a huge benefit to Niagara 5. Ed Merwin, he likes to talk about the control design language support for ASHRAE 223 and 231. We're doing a lot of stuff where we're working with them to automatically develop code and things like that for those things within the ASHRAE community. So we've been working on that, and there's some really cool stuff. And the most overused word in the industry is AI. But I will say, I like what we're doing on AI. So first of all, one thing if you know Tridium and the people at Tridium, is we're not going to release this until it controllably works the way we want it. But the things I've seen so far that we're doing with AI are pretty cool. We're literally, so this last January, they showed us some of the first AI stuff they had been working on. They showed us what it was doing. It was pretty cool. Actually, it was super cool, right? Then this summer, I got a demo of how far they progressed. And that just blew me away how far they had come in such a short time working around AI. And so, for example, one of the product managers said, I wanted to test it out. So I took a fan coil control sequence and I gave it 3 different sequences, and I had a very complicated one with all kinds of delays and interlocks and stuff, and a medium one, and then I had one simple on-off, like a thermostat, nothing more, kept it simple. And he said, and I started with the simple one, I fed it to it, and I said, hey, well, here's the sequence, and it goes, hey, should you put some time delays in here? Hey, do you think you should? And all of a sudden it was building out a complicated one without him even trying to. And he goes, that was the most surprising thing. It was not that it could do it, that it also prompted him saying, hey. And so the amount it learned in that short time that it knew to ask those types of questions, he was like, this is pretty cool. But a lot of it too is going to be around, how do you set up the system when you go to set it up, or you use AI to set it up. So when you hear there's 4 processors, right, and then Jace 9000, one of them we don't use. That one is a neural processor that we planned ahead of time to use for the AI piece. So that's why the Jace 9000 is needed when you do Niagara 5. Miss anything there that, simplifies, optimize, automate. But you're going to see some of that, but we're going to be smart about how we introduce AI. We want to introduce AI to solve a real problem, not to say we have AI. Doesn't matter if we have AI if we're not solving real problems. And the problem, and I am excited, the fact they figured out, I mean, you could have asked me, I'm like you, I grew up doing this stuff. If I make you better, we'll get more installed. We'll get more, we'll do more, and all the rest follows.
Larry, one thing I'll add to that. One of the first AI tools that you'll see from us is going to be an enhanced support. So within the Niagara 5 workbench, there'll be a tool to be able to just ask plain language questions. Hey, I'm looking for this. Hey, how do I go about this kind of thing? And the model, there'll be a small language model, an SLM, within the software, within the thick client. That's what Workbench is kind of what it is. It's a thick client. There'll be that within it, so that support, you're not going to be chasing in the help menu and things like that. So that'll be one of the first that you'll see of the tools. That's one I'm excited about. Should be cool.
So while there's a lot of us in here, we're a small room. So if you guys have questions as we're going, feel free to. I mean, we're here for you, so feel free to shout out. Stump the chump, right? So,
plural chumps. I'm one too. You're not the only chump.
Chumps. We're the chumps. Something as simple as light and dark themes. You know, we're that far behind. We didn't have them, but we're supporting that and some other stuff. So here's kind of, this is a little old. I'll tell you, it's been updated since this time, but here's a little bit of like what you can expect to see as far as what it looks like.
Yeah, that's right. A nice dark mode. Do you notice the rounded lines on the wire sheet too? Things are nice and rounded. We spent a lot of time talking through what should the plugs on either end of the lines be, stuff like that. There was a lot of conversations that I'm sure sounded entirely asinine. But we
first world problems, right?
We put on
Should we round those lines?
Well, it's a balance that we have to find, right? There's those of us that were R2 and AX certified that are still using the software, right? And there's those that are coming into the industry now that need the software to feel modern, familiar to them, right? So there was a lot of time and voices put in. I was taking this to my friends that are SIs and distributors and product managers of different OEMs of the product and really getting the word from others to what do you think and trying to do the best job we can on this.
And that sounds trivial, you're right, but how important is that when people come into our industry, they have to feel like they're part of a modern, forward-thinking industry. Otherwise, they're going to want to go somewhere else, right? I hear that from my son all the time. Who's in the industry, so I'm proud to have him in our industry too. So redundancy. So we are looking at a redundancy structure. We're looking at it not only at the Jace, but at the supervisor and some in-between levels of redundancy within the system. But right now, the supervisor is something that is offered by third-party solutions already out there. So you'll see us focus on this first. Now, I've been cautioned a little bit because we get a little excited when we see this stuff. Redundancy will take over the world. They will come out. The initial will be very basic redundancy within the two Jaces. Features will enhance. They'll mimic each other. They'll do a hot swap over. But as time goes on, what you will see is those features enhance as it goes on. So make sure that when this is first deployed that you test it out and it does what you want it to do and you know how it works before you go out with your customers, but it will continue to be enhanced. So that's the good news, is that we are committed to this redundancy feature, and I think it's going to be pretty big.
And you'll see that also referred to as Niagara HA, or high availability.
High availability. That's the other term everyone likes to use.
Yep. And if you're strictly speaking from like an infrastructure side, if we were to say redundancy with a capital R or high availability, capital H, capital A, those words like mean something technically, and what Niagara redundant high availability will be something in between, which is functionally what you guys need.
And again,
So
it may be deployed slightly different,
is
but
that redundancy across, I mean, it says BACnet up there too, so we're talking not just from your IO, but also from your network?
It'll be basically station to station. So the first deployment of it would be two supervisors standing up on the same network with a constant status exchange going back and forth. And if one fails, there'll be a checksum, basically, like, you sure you're dead? And if it doesn't respond, then number two will take off, right? And then likewise, when number one comes up, it'll tell it, hey, I'm good to go. And number two will respond. And then number one won't start until it confirms that number two shut off. Because the dangers of this is too redundant, right? And if there's competing signals to pieces of equipment, that can cause chaos, right? So that's really been the key challenge for our engineering team, is figuring out that status check and status confirmation in both directions.
So is the end goal to have it at the Jace level, or?
Yeah, yep. So it'll be at a station. So it could be Jace to Jace. We're starting with station to station,
Okay.
Or supervisor to supervisor, effectively, just because it's easier to work on a PC. You know what I mean, or a Linux environment, somewhere where we can play around with the environment more than the static hardware that is a Jace.
well, that's opposite what I've heard.
Really?
I heard that we're doing Jason first.
Well, it'll run on a Jace just fine.
In the application with the redundancy from Jace to Jace.
Yep.
Would we have to buy, like, if one Jace was 200, the primary Jace was licensed for 200 devices, does that mean you have to have two Jaces licensed identically, or is one like a brick that, works with the other?
I think as of right now,
We're going to charge you triple.
yeah. I think as of right now is it'll be basically like a duplicated license.
Okay.
Is what I've kind of been heard,
Nice.
but it's also
Don't quote him.
yeah, it's a question. It's a question that's on the table. Yeah, that's kind of because we have that in containerized, right? So in containerized, you can have high availability with two instances standing up, and that license will pull over and transfer, right? It's just only one can be running at a time.
Nice.
So that's kind of in the direction that it's headed.
That would be probably, that would be an ideal situation.
Yeah.
So is it gonna be failover only, or are you intending to also be a scheduled switch? So
I don't know if
I think they're looking at all that.
schedule.
I don't know when each one of those, do they intend to? Yes. When? I don't know. I don't know if they'll be in the first release or down the road. They've looked at that. There's some work on, there is some of that, because you want to be able, and you also have that, like, can you take one offline,
right.
upload the other one, swap. So it's all those pieces that make this not like a simple thing to deal with. And then how much of that comes out in the first release, how much are further releases, because this is going to be something that continues to evolve over Niagara 5. So it's going to come out, and we'll continue to make it more and more robust, right? But I mean, just the fact that we can now use this cost effectively, right? And in so many places that couldn't afford super expensive PLCs and all that would do it because they would like this, because it's now cost effective. I'm just excited for all the stuff we can do with that. So it's something the industry kind of needed for a while, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
Does anybody else have something like this?
That's not a PLC that I know.
Outside of PLC, I know they.
Yeah.
Credits only.
That's the only.
That's the only thing, right?
No PLC.
And it's a PLC.
There is an additional piece of hardware that can run Niagara stations that are kind of like redundancy, but it runs into the issue of the duplicate needs to be fully licensed, kind of thing, right? It works fine. It's not a product of ours, right? So we don't officially endorse it, but when people do ask me about it, I do kind of generally point them in that direction, and it works, right? This will be nice. A lot like when we start talking about Cloud Suite stuff, a lot like the Cloud Suite stuff, there are third-party things out there that do a great job of it, but now we've built it. It's native onto the Jace, it's native onto the supervisor, and you're not going to have to add any additional hardware, things like that to it.
All right. Back. So let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff. It'll be an evolution. So we're not building something completely different. So everyone's like, oh my God, I have to learn something all new. Niagara continues to evolve. So Niagara 5 will not be something completely different. It's an evolution of Niagara 4. So training, there'll be a gap training. What does that look like? But it'll be some fairly simple that you're going to have to take some sort of course, probably online, because we're going to try to make, there's too many people to not do it. But it'll just kind of be even better probably than what AXN4 was. We're looking at all those things that happened during that conversion. Beauty is all our developers and stuff that were here for that are still here. So they know those things. And so I see this transition going better yet. We're getting ahead of it. So we'll have all those things. So yeah, it'll be an evolution, not a revolution. So if you know Niagara 4, Niagara 5 should be a simple update. How does it work? Important dates. Niagara 5 release. So beta release is going to be in early 2026 for people who are on the beta program to start giving feedback, what they see and all that. We will see it released at the summit in a way that we're announcing that it's available or not announcing that it's out. It won't be fully released till right now, the tentative date for what they could. I've never been at Honeywell where they had a major summit like type thing and say, hey, we have Niagara 5, but not yet. So we'll talk about it at the summit a lot. But it will probably be fully released. The full release will be, right now it's slated for September-ish, October-ish, somewhere in there. That date, they find problem stuff, will move. So, but that's kind of what they're shooting for. Niagara 4, when's the end of life of Niagara 4? Q3 of 2028. Start doing the math, that's pretty quick. We didn't like it, but that's what Oracle's doing. That's right. We wouldn't normally end of life something that quick, but we had to. Because they're telling us they're stopping support for it, so we have to end of life it there. 4.15 will be the last version of Niagara 4. Now that's important. That's a long-term supported release. If you have customers, it would behoove you to have them on 4.15, even if they're going to continue on beyond when we stop it. If we can, just because we say it's unsupported, it doesn't mean we're not going to fix a bug or something we found. But we also have to cover ourselves, because if the bug happens to be in Java, we won't be able to fix it because Oracle won't fix it. So we'll fix what we can. If we find things that are ours, we will continue to support it where we can, but we can't commit to it beyond that. The 4.15 is important for another reason. That's what version you'll have to be on to use the tool to upgrade it to Niagara 5. We'll talk some more about that.
Just like being at 3.8 in the AX to N4 migration, right? If you're at 4.15, then you'll be able to use the migration tool. If you're at 4.13, you're going to run into problems.
You can still bring it onto your PC on 4.15.
Yeah.
Because the Jace 8000 will not run 5. Jace 8000 only runs Niagara 4. That's coming end of life. I say this just because some people might hear this, and I don't want you to be confused. Europe's last time by is this December. That's because the laws in Europe are requiring us to do that earlier. Next year will be the last time by in the US for the Jace 8000. Still a great controller. It still works fine, but we're last time buying it because that's when Niagara 5 will be out, and we're going to start moving forward with that. Jace 9000 Niagara 4, this makes sense if you think about it. When's the last time you can buy Niagara 4 to put on Jace 9000? When we end of life Niagara 4.
So those Jace 9000s, you will not be able to put N5 on it?
9,000 you will. The
9,000 you will. You won't be able to buy it within 4 after we stop selling it.
Okay.
It's kind of a hard way to say that, right? But
Larry, the other thing to note here is you have both, were you planning on talking about the 4.14 still support? Okay. So 4.14 is maintaining support. There are very few, I don't know if any of you do. There are some actual users of the Wi-Fi functionality on the Jace 8000. 4.15 is the switchover point to the Wi-Fi functionality of the Jace 9000 is 4.15 and up only. So 415 can run on a Jace 8000, but it will not work with the Wi-Fi antenna. The Wi-Fi functionality.
That's confusing.
So yeah, so if you're using Wi-Fi on the Jace 8000,
You
then
can't go above
14
414.
Yeah, 14 is your cap, right? And this is your runway to transition to migrate that to upgrade it to a 9000. And then once you have it at 9000, then you can continue to run it at 415, and then you can migrate that to Niagara 5 as well. I know there are a small handful of use cases where the Wi-Fi is needed. If any of you have that, that's something to be aware of.
Does that make sense? Everyone got that? That's as confusing as we.
I know at some point we had to make the jump over the network card of the 9000 is functionally different. And so we couldn't get the Wi-Fi card to work on the 9000 with 414 and earlier. And the changes we had to make to the code meant that the 8000s wouldn't work, right? It's kind of different enough that there had to be a transition there, and that's where we decided to make that switch. And it gives you some runway to make the transition.
Make something up there. Compatibility. Will N4PX graphic works in N5? Yes. N4 to N5 migrator will include PX migration. Migration tool requires us to be out of latest N415. So kind of, you're going to see this theme repeating. Will the N5 supervised support Niagara connections to N4 stations? Yes. I got another slide in here to help with that idea. So it'll be asked, and we'll go over it again here in a minute. Do I have to upgrade everything to Niagara 5 when it comes out? No. Can follow the typical Niagara theme. The most highest thing in the architecture is the thing you should upgrade first. And as you move down the architecture, then you upgrade everything else. Will we still talk to Niagara AX devices? Absolutely. That doesn't change. So start at the top, work your way down. Do it in a smart fashion. We know people can't convert everything overnight. We're going to continue to support all our legacy architecture talking into our latest version, but the latest version has to be on top of what you're talking to. That's where I'd like to dispel that early, because that's where people start freaking out. Oh my God, I got so much in my facility. I can't do that overnight. I can't afford it. Yeah.
If you migrate your supervisors onto N5, is the workbench still going to be able to connect and configure the N4 stuff? Because that's an issue with the AX. If the workbench goes, you can't.
Yeah, and that is, I think our engineering team is testing that and working on that now. That's a challenge because of the different library, right? That is because it's going from Java 8 to Java 25.
Right.
I'll stay out of the weeds, but there's weeds that you get deeper as to really why that is. I think our engineering team is working on trying to figure out how can we get through that, because
Wrong, maybe.
AX one's kind of snuck up and bit you, you know. You upgrade, and then all of a sudden the workbench.
Exactly, and then you gotta have two separate workbenches on the supervisor.
Or link. Yeah, it's messy. You can get it to work.
Yeah, no,
That's a great question. These are good questions.
it's a good question. It's one that has been addressed. You know what I mean? Like
they're talking
in conversation and working on it and trying to figure out, like, okay, how can we make this work?
Which is why we don't have an answer, obviously, because we don't know how far they are down that road. But that's a good question. No one's asked me that yet.
Yeah, it hasn't. Niagara 5.
I'm glad you asked it while Jerome was here. I'd be like, what?
Come on, Larry, you could dance around a little.
I would have said, sure.
Yeah.
Sure it will, of course.
We wouldn't have forgotten.
What was the question?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. All right. So N4 modules refactored to work in N5. So we're working on that. What's even better is actually Honeywell. One of the things right now, all the Honeywell tools weren't in HTML5. And this is true for everybody out there who has tools or anything out there that isn't HTML5. They have to update it for Niagara 5. It's also, Jerome will show you, it's a key piece too, to making the connection through the cloud more usable, because then you can use the tools through the cloud. Well, I saw this coming early on, and maybe because I had been at Honeywell, I knew that this was a big deal. So I jumped in and I'm like, when are you guys going to get to this? And they go, we don't know. We have to get to it, but we got so much on our thing. So I actually got Honeywell to pay our professional services team. I got a guy win-win. So I got the professional service team for us. I got Honeywell at the front of the line because everybody else is now figuring out, hey, we can have them do it. So the Honeywell tools are all being updated right now, and should be one of the first ones out, ready to go. So kind of put us in front of everybody else in the industry being ready for this part. So I'm pretty excited that we got that. We're smart enough to jump on it early on. And so that'll help with a lot of things about the cloud. But it's getting everything ready for N5. This is a huge piece of getting everything ready for
You're talking
N5.
like the IRM tools and the
Yeah,
various
So,
pallet
Yeah.
modules.
right.
so I heard, and you've heard it too, that there's talk about not having the Spyder tool available on Niagara 5.
Travesty.
That's Larry's baby. Come on.
What are you asking me? I think you know my answer.
Comment on.
I don't know, but I think they should. Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, that's gonna be up to you guys to feedback to them why that's such an important thing to have. And we all know it. I know why they want to do it. I don't know that it's a great idea.
All right. I teed one up for you guys.
That it would not be available?
Classic Spyder.
So
tool. It's not
they want-
slated to be in Niagara 5.
They want to end of life the classic Spyder because they have new tools and new products coming out.
Sure.
So they don't want to spend the money I mean, this is not totally illogical, right? So they don't want to spend the money to upgrade the tool since they're going to end of life the product. But what do we know? There's a ton of classic Spyders out there because when you're really good, what do they call you? Classic.
Classic.
Or old. Oh, that's not cute. Like,
Good old.
but I think you guys are going to need to feedback to Honeywell why that's an important thing to you and why it'd be important long term to support your customer.
Yeah.
It's an easy oversight. I understand why they don't want to do it. I think it would, I can be biased, okay? So I think it should be done, and I agree with Jeff, but I think there's actually a lot of market reasons why they need it. I don't think they are planning on doing that, so that's something that's feedback. You all would have to feedback to them so they, change that course. I don't get to make those decisions anymore. Okay, I'm going to let you explain this N5 modules will require a signature to be loaded into an N5.
Yeah, so
Every time I try to describe this, I hack it.
So any custom modules, this has been true for a couple of versions back now. They require signatures. So they all have to be signed modules in order to run within a station, in order to run within Workbench. That is going to be true in the transition from 4 to 5. They're going to effectively require a new signature on the modules to confirm and affirm that they've been checked and they run within the Niagara 5 environment, which would be on Java 25. That's what it needs. It's been basically true for the last couple of years, but it's something that we're basically just reiterating, and we need all the developers to test and confirm. You already had mentioned that earlier, the compatibility to Niagara 5.
So that's an important thing. And this happened in AX and it will happen with every version upgrade, right? We're going to update all our. We don't know what third-party people who develop modules are going to do. We are trying to get everybody in the developer program. We're on them to make sure they're taking in upgrading their stuff. But if things are going to fail in that transition, it's people who haven't upgraded their modules for N5. So when you do your upgrade, it'll be in there, but that'll be the thing that's going to be the most risk are there third-party applications that haven't been upgraded for that crossover, right? So same thing we have with every version that ever comes out, but it's a thing that's easy to forget too. I don't know if this tells us anything, but it's kind of cool looking. This is what marketing people put together for you.
This is the same process as AX10-4.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of you, looking around the room, there's not many people that seem younger than the AX to N4 migration.
Maybe a few.
I've got white in my beard too, right? So I think a lot of you have been through this. It'll be similar. You'll need to prepare. Now, Larry had mentioned earlier that the PX graphics will transition. That was obviously one of the big hangups in the AX to N4 because the AX graphics were Java rendered. With N4, we transitioned to HTML rendered. So you're not going to have to go through a graphic rebuild process entirely like you did with AX.
That's called CYA. That's called CYA. You know, we've been doing it a long time. We're sitting up here covering our butt, right? Yeah. What we say. I didn't say that. I didn't say it would work. I said it should. But here's one. AX. It could be. Well, that's really tough to use. AX10, N4, AX10, N5. No, you will not be able to go straight from AX. You'll have to, if you want to go from AX. Can you go from AX10-4 anymore?
Oh yeah. Well, kind of. The license needs to have already been migrated.
Yeah.
The license transfer ended. So you'd have.
That's what I mean. License.
Yeah. But
so
the tool still works.
Okay.
The tool still works.
But you have to be on N4 to migrate to
yeah.
All right, let's get past this. Oh, here's a cool little graphic they threw together. More marketing. You guys want this? Yeah. Is that sexy or what, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, if you guys want that, I'll send it to you. Woo!
You guys stole that from Conjunction Junction, I think.
What is
now we know how old you are. Now I'm going to start singing it, right?
No.
I never knew what and but nor until then, or the preamble for the Constitution. No, I'm building it. I actually think this is one of the best programs we've run. Is this JACE 9000 license transfer program? It really is. You know, it's actually this win-win-win program. It's self-serving because we want to get everybody ready for Niagara. Why? That's why we're doing it, right? But when you look at it and you look at what we're offering, that you basically take an 8000, has an update SMA. We'll get into that in a minute. You pay the fee for the software license transfer. Buy a blank 9000. Now that's a critical thing. You don't buy a regular 9000. You buy a replacement because you don't want to have to pay for any of the licenses, and then you'll be able to transfer all the licenses over, which is really the most expensive. Can be the most expensive part about the JACE. When you look at that and you propose to people, and Jeff was the first one who kind of mentioned this to me. He said, dude, when you show them what the cost is, if they do it after the program or instead of during the program for this transfer, it's a no-brainer. Customers go, we have to do it, don't we? Well, you don't have to, but yeah, you would be eventually not to, right? I like to talk about, well, people's SMAs aren't up to date. This is an opportunity to use the ESMA tool. There's forgiveness in the ESMA tool, which saves a ton of money if they do it anyway. And it allows them to bring that all lined up to date. It does a couple things from lines all their SMAs up so they don't have to try to keep track of them all. It gets them ready for this. So it becomes a win-win-win.
Maybe does anybody know what the enterprise estimate tool is and what that all entails? If not, maybe just give you a 1 minute.
Yeah. So the enterprise SMA tool, you take all the JACE licenses a customer has, you put them into the tool. And what it does is it says, okay, here's all the dates that they ended on. And if you have backdated ones, it says, okay, here's what it's going to cost to get them all up to date. And it's going to line them all up on the same date so that going forward, they don't have to go, I got one ending on September, one ending in June, and one lines them all up. So it's nice, simple. And here's the price. And then what's really cool about it is it says, we'll give you, and I don't know, the formula is weird, but it gives you the grace period. Every time I look at it, the amount of grace period mean that they don't make you pay for to update. Because listen, we know people are way back, right? We just want them to get on the program and start using it. So we give a ton of grace period for them to get everything lined up and all on the same date. And then going forward, they only have one date they have to worry about keeping their stuff up to date.
The SMA date lines up with the last of them in the calendar year. So if you have some of them in January and some of them in December, it brings all of them up to the December date. And then, if you have 5 Jaces and 4 of the 5 expired in January, right, you've got effectively 4 years of grace period in that.
So, and if it becomes significant, I mean, especially with if they have a large number of them, it becomes significant.
It's something like, at this point, it's thousands of years of SMA that we've done no charge of grace period, right?
It's a significant saving if you have a big deployment. So I advise all of you, and I wholeheartedly believe in it because it's a great program.
It is.
If you have anything that has, a significant amount of licenses, I think there's a minimum, there's 5, right?
Yeah, it's 5 or more licenses.
So if you have those situations and you need to do that, call Depot, call Jason, call Tim, because they'll run those models, give you those quotes back with, hey, here's why, they'll show on there, 152 months of savings, and it goes through exactly what that savings looks like. It could be a big, actually end up being a big number.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend it. So
It would be the scenario where if you have a existing 8,000 with Spyder Classics, that's a customer to do this program, are they basically with Spyder Classics, they're going to be capped at 414 or 414 because they're not going to be able to go to HTML5 with existing Classic?
Correct.
No.
yeah, well, no, I mean,
No, that's not
take
true.
it to 5. You just won't have the.
Well, you can't,
module.
you want that program on 5.
Yeah, you can't program in 5. You can.
Yeah, you could still program it with Workbench and everything if you need to program it, but it'll talk to it. It's talking, standard BACnet. None of that changes. Yes. Would the tool, right now, they don't have a provision for the tool to work in N5. Now, we're going to change that, right?
Right.
But as of now, yes. If you want to be able to program it through the Workbench or through N5, you won't be able to, but you'll still be able to use the older Workbench like in the past, N4, and be able to talk and still work it. So it could move forward. It's not going to prevent it from moving forward, but it is something you have to take into account.
If you're migrating N4 to N5, the station that has classic Spyders, is it just going to delete those out of the station? It's not going to have a module?
I don't know.
No.
I don't think they'll delete them out of the station.
No, it's just a tool that won't.
That's what it does.
The commissioning programming tool.
Yeah, that's true. I'm thinking about, if you migrated a JCI Facility Explorer from AX from 13 to 14, it did if you
didn't have the module.
if you didn't have the module.
Just like that.
Just a, you know what? That's a really good.
Well, that's a really good point, and maybe there's our selling tool.
That's a really good question.
Why do we need it? You can't delete all those out.
Larry, can you remember that?
Oh yeah, I can remember that. Can you remember that, Larry?
And then send an email with it. Sure. And we'll make it work.
Are you watching it somewhere else?
Yeah.
Is somebody else watching or just
Yeah,
you?
there's a few people.
Oh, okay. Welcome. I thought I was talking to an empty camera. No, that's a really good one. There's our selling tool.
I know. We'll call. I'll help.
And like I said, I'll make sure. Sorry, what's your name? Ken. I'll make sure Ken has my business card and ask him to send me an email with that question, and we'll bark it up the tree.
Yeah, Ken's our Niagara trainer, so
Okay,
he's certified trainer.
Great.
For Niagara, so you should probably.
Moises has it. He's going to go back, right? And sell it for his buddy.
Yeah. We'll make sure it goes up there.
There's a cybersecurity thing going on, and that is why we are migrating the UX. And the first has to do with the cybers on the classic Spyder. If there's a cyber
So you're
risk,
good.
there's-
So, but the problem is, if we don't do something, none of those can be upgraded. And you're going to miss all those upgrades. You got to speak at Honeywell terms.
Yeah.
Lost revenue.
Money.
But they will say, we'll have a replacement with other compare purchase.
Well, I know, but that's a really good thing. I'm sure
No, but
that,
it's-
that piece of the puzzle wasn't taken into the equation. So
That's true.
we need to find out what the solution's gonna be for that. Maybe they have something up their sleeve, I don't know. All good things,
It's
so.
still pretty super.
So I want to talk real quickly about the Niagara Cloud Suite. So let's start with, is Niagara Cloud Suite available to you through Honeywell? Yes. People don't realize it. They haven't really promoted it too much yet, but it's in the price books. It's available. You can purchase it now if you want to. I can explain to you what it is. Jerome's going to show you what it is, because me telling you what it is one thing, but him showing you it's a lot more powerful. So we'll do a little both, but I just wanted you all to know about it, know what it is, right? What isn't it? And where are we going with it, right? Because it is going to be on our roadmap. One thing about Niagara 5 is one of the goals of Niagara 5 is to bridge that on-prem to cloud applications, right? We're going to more and more be able to, and in between, any applications between and on-prem and to the cloud, the goal is to bridge that easier for the future. That's where we're going. Doesn't mean you have to get away from on-prem. Doesn't mean you have to go to the cloud. But it's going to be happening, and more people are looking for it. Is everybody looking for it? Are the people who say they don't ever want it going to want it someday? Yeah, they will, because there will be value there. When they see the value, people start to shift. Our industry is old, man. We don't change quick. But it's going to happen. There's a lot of reasons for it to happen. So here's the Niagara Cloud Suite in a nutshell. So it was comprised of 3. Now it's comprised of 5 things. But so the simplest thing is Niagara Remote. Remote connection to the cloud gives you a secure connection into your system. Where we see this, where people want to use this is right now the biggest place is facilities where they are not going to allow you to put any type of VPN connection into their facility. Because people go, I could just put in a TOSI box. Yep, you can, and it's a good solution. Don't get me wrong. I sold a lot of those in a previous life. But this is where the IT department says, no inbound connections. We're only allowed outbound connection. And when they see this, it's funny how they go, oh, yeah, that's fine. We'll take that. It's like nothing comes. We're not doing anything. Oh, yeah, we'll do that. That's okay. And they like the fact it's an outbound connection, right? It's not anyone coming in. It's an outbound established connection. And it allows them a secure way to get in. So that's Niagara Remote. That's what we're updating all the tools for, so the tools work remotely through that connection. Niagara Recover. This is good. This is probably really underused today, although I'm seeing more and more people seeing the value of it. Jerome will reiterate it when he shows you. But ironically, for the price of it, people go, everybody always said, well, we just plug in a USB and back it up and all that. Well, customers are getting smart. They go, yeah, everyone says that, but nobody does it. This automatically backs it up. You can, select what your primary one is. It'll hold up to 5 backups. So if you want to go back to something because something broke in between, you can go back to it. It's actually a really cool feature. But in the future, this is going to become really important because you're going to be able, from the cloud, be able to update all your Niagara instances. So not just your supervisor, but your supervisor, your JACEs, your edge controllers, anything running Niagara will be able to update the Niagara in it. Does that mean it's going to update them all automatically without, you could, but you'll be able to tell it if you want to do that, if you want to schedule it, or if you want to manually do it. You want to have someone on site. There's reasons to do any one of those, or reasons not to, but you'll be able to do it all from one place. It should be a heck of a lot easier. You don't have to plug into every JACE. Niagara Data Services. This is one I think is the most interesting. So from the cloud, you'll be able to offer any of the data inside of Niagara to a developer who wants to be able to access it through an API. And there's more and more people doing this. People want to have I've seen data centers where a large data center tenant said, we want all of our energy information from each rack. And they said, oh, just go in, directly and access that data. They go, we don't want to be controls experts. We just want an API where we can get that kind of data, a RESTful API that we just get the data we're looking for. That's what this does. This gives them a developer who's not a controls expert. You put the data up there, they can get the data, they understand how to work with RESTful APIs. They look at it and go, yeah, that's easy. That's exactly what we need. Boom. I'll let Jerome show you a little bit of that here coming up. And then we're doing cloud connections for other OEMs or other people, specialized cloud connections. I think we're going to see more and more of those type of connections as we go forward. At first, we're doing it for the OEMs, but I think we're going to see people having their own clouds that we'll be able to connect to and create that connection for them. And I think the real cool thing we're working on is Niagara Cloud Supervisor. If you ask me, it's the first thing we should have worked on, but there were other reasons we didn't. We're finally green lighted. It is in development. Don't know when it'll be ready, but I will tell you it's a priority for executive management. They heard enough people tell them, why haven't you done this, that it's become a priority, which is awesome. Because I think that's something we've been missing is a full supervisor in the cloud. So one of the questions I'll kind of get asked is so RBM, Niagara, RBM's a more complete solution ready to go. I think you're going to, what I think of the Niagara Cloud is you can turn it into what you want. So two different types of people who will use this, and even two different type of customers you want to sell them to. So it just depends what it is that fits your need. Not saying one's right, one's wrong. They're different. They're different solutions for different people. So I think it's kind of cool that we have both available to us.
So while he was talking about this, I snuck out and went and checked. All of the cloud, well, I don't say all, but the majority of these cloud services are available in the current price list that we just got last week. That you guys,
These three.
Yep, those three. Not the supervisor, right?
Yeah, not yet.
That doesn't exist yet.
Doesn't exist yet, but that's what's coming.
Those are available in the current price list. So if you guys are interested, reach out to someone at Control Depot. They can get you what that pricing looks like. They are in the current price list that's going to be distributed here in the night if it hasn't been this week or early next week. So
What release is required? 13, 414?
So this started functioning at 413. My official answer is 415 or 414 but if you put it on 410, 413, it's going to work. It's one of those things where our long-term support is 414, 415. So you need 414, 415.
It's easiest at 415 because the connection tool comes with 415.
Well, that's the next question. So is it a license, a module?
So
What do you got to do on an existing?
You got to pay.
it's
Honeywell language.
Gotta
it's
pay
a
for
licensed
it.
feature starting at 415. The modules are included in the core software.
Okay. Previously, that you buy.
Previous to that, you downloaded them from Niagara Central or whatever software repository you use for modules and the like.
Right.
So for 10, 13, or 14, those would be in, like I said, Niagara Central or whatever software repository you use. Starting in 415, the Niagara Cloud Suite is part of the core software modules. You'll have to add it onto the station, obviously, right?
But then how's the subscription pricing? What's it based on? You don't buy this once and you're done. You're paying.
Well, yeah.
So it's an
Of course not.
subscription. There's
What drives the price of the subscription? Is it number of JSON, number of stations?
Yep. So it's broken out into the three, right? The Niagara Recover and Niagara Remote are just it is right. So whether
Okay,
it's per station, right? So it's each of those are per station. The Niagara Data Service, then there's three levels of it, and that is based on data egress volume.
The data service isn't available yet.
So data service
Well, I
is
thought-
available. No, Niagara, the cloud.
The cloud supervisor.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
that's the only one that's not.
That's the only one that doesn't exist.
Those three are available.
These three are available. This one.
No, the middle
This one.
three. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. So those three. This is a little bit different than normally.
I stole this from you.
Yeah. So data service, and I'll go through it here as soon as.
Oh, you're gonna, okay.
Yeah, he's
I'll
gonna go through and show it.
Are we gonna have the ability to tunnel, like I know Cypher 30s are going away, but that's an issue that we always have is maybe we get access to the supervisor on the cloud.
Yep.
But we still need to get into our Cyphers or
That
other IP
depends
base.
on if you have it configured using multi-tiered system database. If you're making use of the multi-tiered system database, then you can connect down through, right? If you're not, then it's just going to land at the supervisor level.
And you'd be able to do wire sheet logic and that type of stuff in that.
If you have it configured. So really, and you'll see this when I start demoing. The user experience of it is exactly the same as if you connected locally through a browser, right? So if you were sitting at the device, if you were sitting on the network and you opened up the supervisor through your browser, right? Can you connect down? Yeah. Because if you can, then you can. Good. You're at super, but if you're using multi-tiered system database, then you can dig down, right? So that's kind of where the question, or where you're going to be able to find the answer. If you can connect to it locally through a browser, you can connect to it and do it remotely through a browser. And when I show you the connection to it, is, you'll see it's exactly the same. It's functionally identical.
What?
Yeah.
They're all based on,
Talk about that.
it's the same reason that the 8,000 is going away, right? It's all based on the old Java code that we can't support. There are new edge devices coming.
I like the optimizer place.
There is an edge device coming to take that spot. All right.
Or you got more show.
I think,
About to transition if you want it.
yeah, as you say, this stuff is stuff that you're going to talk to. Oh, I don't need it.
Yeah, why don't you actually, Larry, why don't you leave it up here and I'll just use this deck to talk that through and then share for the actual demo.
Okay, you do what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
One more.
Huh?
One more.
One more.
Sorry, one more. The
One more back? You want to
Yeah,
see
back.
that?
Yeah,
You want to
right
talk
there.
to that?
Yeah, I'll talk to it.
One more clip. All right. The fluff is leaving. The sexy part of the demonstration is over. Here, I'll stand back.
I'm just gonna move this around so I can actually.
You can follow me still? That's right. I know, I don't blame you.
Okay, so I'll start here. Larry had mentioned that that it is an outbound connection. I'll specify that it is outbound over port 443. Port 443 is the default HTTPS port. So if there is internet connection for devices on the network, port 443 is open. What that means is you're not having to go to the IT team and asking them, hey, I need you to open this port, and them asking you why. Right? It's open port 443, and then that establishes the reverse proxy. The reverse proxy basically means blind on both sides. It's a matter of security. What Larry had mentioned, when you show them this chart, they go, oh, okay, cool. Right? And that's because what this means is, what this means here is if there is a security vulnerability somewhere, right, the IT team can just close port 443. And then it's severed, and there's not a concern. If you're using a tunneling device, they're very powerful. We like them. I really liked I used a lot of them myself. They're awesome, but it also means that you're not going to confirm that security vulnerability is confined until you physically unplug the device, right? With a reverse proxy over port 443, they can sever the connection. It is a station level only. which is good, again, for security measures. Platform level access to any device opens things up, and infrastructure security teams, I'll go with substantially dislike that, if we can call it that, right? So that's what that is there. It's a reverse proxy over port 443. It makes the connection easy to establish and sever in case of need. And then when that security team says, all right, we're cool, and they reestablish it, the cloud suite is gonna reconnect and be off and running. Yep. So
Does that work through, if they've got their own proxy server on site, well, that's still.
So that's where it depends, right? And that'll be an individually addressed. We have had a few circumstances where that was the case. Depending on how they have it set up, it may just go right through, no problem. If not, then they'll know how to configure it. We may have to, there is one site that may need to be whitelisted depending on the configuration on the IT side. Initially on this, we did need to pretty regularly say, all right, you need to whitelist this. At this point, I don't even mention it anymore in my training because it's maybe 1 out of 100 where it just goes, hey, something's weird here. And you go, yeah, just go to auth.ping1.com and whitelist that and everything's cool, right? But that's an individual case by case. Yeah. And then, okay, so on here, it's kind of what is this is the roadmap, but it's also a good slide to talk about what are the individual things, right? These are what's coming. Larry's already talked through all these except for alarm management. Alarm management, I could show you. You can export, acknowledge alarms within the cloud portal. I'll show you that once I jump over on my computer. But really at the top, these are the key things. Multi-factor authentication is mandated with the cloud suite. By default, it uses the Salesforce Authenticator and then the Salesforce Authenticator app on your phone. So when you log in, you'll see me. I log in. It'll buzz my phone. I'll look at it, confirm, yes, it's actually me, and then it'll let me in. So multi-factor authentication is mandatory. You don't have to use Salesforce Authenticator. You can use Google Authenticator awfully, Microsoft Authenticator, but it just needs to be there, right? Device certificates. This is pretty sweet. We all dislike the process of certificates. This is the first step into making it easier for all Niagara implementations, right? Within the cloud suite, it just does it. It's really nice, right? So there's a slight process. You go through the authentication process, the registration process, and then in the background, takes 20, 30 seconds, handshakes happen, certificates are exchanged. We're kind of using this as a proof of concept. It works, right? So now hopefully as we continue in future versions of Niagara, maybe we can get that going with the TLS certificates too. That would be pretty sweet. So we all know the headache of CSRs and PKI certificates and all that stuff, right? That's where this is going. So that's there. Device certificates within the cloud suite are just handled. And then IoT cloud connections, that's the API stuff, right? So if you have third party, for an example, one of my test sites is I have some Shelly sensors spread around both energy meters as well as temperature sensors spread around my cabin, right? I have that working via API as an IoT connection, right? So those temperatures are coming into a station, and then that power consumption is being exchanged back and forth. So that's all facilitated via there. So we will, at this point, I think I'm going to jump over to sharing on we go. You guys can see my calendar for a second. All right, so let me refresh this. When I had mentioned that on 4.15 and newer, the modules are just in the software download. That the palette is CloudLink NCS is the module is the jar file that you need to make sure is loaded into the JACE or into the supervisor.
We can't see it. Okay.
Oh,
Sharing your sound.
Oh, yeah, I shared mine. Do I need to?
Your station. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's do that. Sounds good. Oh, I see, because that's not.
Our technology.
There we go. There we go. All right, so only the people on the Teams meeting could see my calendar for half a second. All right, so it's the Niagara Cloud Service or the CloudLink NCS palette, right? And then the Niagara Cloud Service, you click and drag up into there, go ahead and right click, Federated Identity Authenticator, start registration, and it goes from there. You'll end up with a registered unauthenticated, and then the handshakes happen once you assign it to a project. This is all content that's typically taught in a 4-hour class, so I'm really condensing down here and trying to not, fall into the weeds. A lot of this. Let me jump over here now. So that's what's happening here, right? From here on out, we're going to look at it through the portal. So it's just niagara-cloud.com. When you go to it, it's going to forward you to niagara-community.com login. That's because your persona in the Niagara community is the credential set that you're using to connect to the cloud portal. I'm going to get here. I may have been sitting on this page for too long. Yeah. We'll click on cloud. It's going to take us through. I'm getting the notification on my phone. And approve it. And we're in there. Okay. So the different types of users. There are partners and there are customer users within it. Distributors and you as SIs, as contractors, you will be a partner level. So the control depot folks, what you're going to be seeing is you're going to be seeing all of your SIs here in these tiles like this. As contractors, you're going to be seeing your customers spread out in that way, right? Just like everything within Niagara, we try and make things hierarchical, right? So that's kind of how it's spread. When you decide to go into a customer, I'm going to take a look at this NSB Systems Engineering customer. This is one of our dummy customers, Niagara Smart Buildings, right? Your customer, then, this is going to be the customer view, is going to be they'll land here, right? And they'll see all of their various projects and then the devices within each project, right? So as an example, if one of them was a school district, say Omaha School District, they would log in. They would see on the left side would be, they could have it as all of their buildings, or they could even divide it up, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, however it is. And then they'd click in there. This is where it's up to them for, how do they want it to be organized? How do they want you to build it to be organized? It's kind of the similar questions to when you're building a user interface for a supervisor or a Jace as it is now, right? So we're going to take a look at the Minnesota lab specifically. And now here are the two Jaces that I have connected remotely. The one at my house in Minneapolis, and then the one at my cabin in Cook County, right? So we have our North remote and our Minneapolis lab. We'll look at the Minneapolis lab specifically, and we'll start with the recover function. So recover is backup, right? So this is, Larry had mentioned, up to 5. These are not size limited. So if your backup is in a massive supervisor, you still have room for 5 backups. If your backup is the Latvian Lutheran Church at 18th and 31st in South Minneapolis, and it's a single Jace with a single air handler and a single boiler, right? 5 backups. Same amount either way, right? And you can set your preferred. This is like if you have a golden image, right? So I have my preferred that I took, what is that, August of this year? That's the last time I added a thermostat to my house, right? To my lab. And then I took basically a golden image. The remainders then, you'll see right now they're actually at a somewhat irregular basis. That's because I made a little bit of a training video last week. So I had a couple that I took in short order. But by default, they're set to take once a week, 3 a.m. on Sunday morning with a randomization period. The configuration of that, I'll show you in just a few minutes when we go over to remote. But these are going on a regular basis. The one stays, the other 4 roll. And then when you download them here, they download as an eDist2 file, not as just a dist file, right? So a dist file, I'm assuming we all know, you can change to .zip and then open it up. You know, you can unzip it and go in and make the changes to the station you need to make, and then just zip it back up and change it to .dist, and nobody ever knows, kind of thing, right? That's not true with these, right? That's a powerful tool that's great for us as professionals that need to just make something happen every once in a while. But what it's not is secure, right? So the backups from Niagara Recover are encrypted. They are encrypted using by default the station passphrase. That can be changed to an individual password too. Again, same thing. I'll show it to you. We'll see that when I jump into Niagara Remote here in a minute. It adds one step when you go to recover it. So you download it, place it into your backups folder. In Workbench, when you go to User Home and Backups, if you went to the distribution file installer where you would normally go to restore a backup, it's not going to show up. But if you go to the Backups folder, it will, as an eDist2, you'll double click on it. It'll say, hey, this is encrypted. You want to decrypt it? Just click yes, type in the password. It takes like 5 seconds to do. It's not a long process you're going to be waiting on. And then it pops into your backups folder and you can just go back to doing it like a normal backup. But it's been encrypted both directions and when it was in the cloud, right? So again, secure by default. Every time data is in transfer on the Niagara Cloud Suite, it's encrypted. We're taking every step possible to make sure that's safe for you. So that's Niagara Recover. Larry had kind of mentioned this. I genuinely believe that all of you as contractors should just be doing this. I can't really quote you the number, right? That's going to be the Control Depot folks will give you the actual number on the price list. I can tell you it's not much, right? It's really not much for what it is. And the amount of headache this is going to save you one time will be worth many years of it, right? Larry kind of introduced himself and me a little bit. I'll mention, before being with Tridium, I'm a senior bunch of words sales engineer and application specialist is in there too. Before that, I've been product owner and development and engineer for manufacturer. I've been an SI. I'm also the kid of a contractor. My dad is also a controls contractor, just like Larry's, right? So I've been around it a long time and worn the hats. And I worked with him for quite a few years. And there's one specific instance where this would have saved me a week of work. And that was at a large medical device manufacturing facility where we talked about, okay, we got to have backups. They were very confident. They saved it to a hard drive that was in their server rack. And then a process steam pipe burst over the top of the server rack and punched a hole straight through the whole rack of it. And so we didn't have the backup, obviously, and took out the Jace as well and the supervisor. And so then I had to rebuild it just from scratch. And if we had this sort of thing, right, the Niagara Recover, it would have been a 30-minute service call and they would have been back up and running, right? So that one time, decades of the cost of this would have been worth it. So I genuinely believe you guys should be looking into installing this on every project, every Jace, every supervisor. Because again, you use it once, awesome. You never use it, okay, right? It wasn't that much of an insurance cost. So with that, let's jump over to let's jump over to remote. So when I click on remote, this is going to look pretty familiar to all of you. I'm assuming many of you are familiar with connecting and taking a look at the ORD path in a browser. Quite here, from here over, this is just the ORD path, right? And before this, there's where we are, remote.niagara-cloud.com. And from there over, that's the system ID. So this is the ID, this is the identity of this station within the Niagara Cloud Suite, .remote.niagara-cloud.com, and then from there on out, it's the same as this station. Its IP address at my house is 192.168.1.143, right? So if I was at home, I could open another tab, and you'd see that it's the same. So that's where earlier when I was saying, if you can do it through a browser, you can do it through Niagara Remote. Quite literally, if you can do it through a browser, you can do it through Niagara Remote, because this is the same. It's the same, right? It's identical. It's functionally identical, and you're going to be able to work through it the same. We had mentioned the graphics editor. I maybe just in conversation, I'd mentioned that earlier. At 415 and on, you can edit. You can create and edit PX pages. Really, they're UX pages, but same. It's just a change in name basically, and that's right here, right? So I can go to my editor, and edit things here. It works just like PX Editor does in Workbench. You can open your palettes over here, right? Open your palettes over here. You've got your different panes, everything like that. However you want to build it, you can go in and edit it there, and then just hit the pencil, right? All the tools are the same. So that's there now. There's another reason that you're not going to need to be running a machine with Workbench licensed, right? You can connect remotely. If you have a customer that, you have an install tech that goes and installs a VAV into a site, and it's all just BACnet points, BACnet device and BACnet points, you don't need to go out there, right? You can connect remotely. You can open it there. You can run the BACnet discovery because BACnet Device Manager works. There's a web view for BACnet Device Manager. You can discover it, bring it in, add the points, add the graphic, modify the schedule, whatever you need to do, all through Niagara Remote. And it's pretty easy to, Moisa said, I mentioned it earlier, it's a little anticlimactic, right? Because this is something that the industry has been asking Tridium for a long time. Hey, when are we going to get Niagara? When are we going to get remote access? When are we going to get it? It's here, and it's easy. You're already familiar, so it's not like you're needing to learn any new tools or anything like that, right? You just connect to it, and you're off and run. Are there any questions regarding remote or recover? I didn't check in on recover. Anybody?
You go into alarm service?
Yeah, I was going to go to data service next.
So, this gets us to the JITs, for instance.
Yep, the JACE or the supervisor. And this is, you had had the question earlier. The license is placed per station.
So if we've got a site for 30 on this same network,
Mhm.
we would have to add RVM license to that cipher and access it through a different web URL, because you can't jump to my cipher saying 192.168,
Yeah.
39.25,
Yep.
and my JACE is 26.
So so for RVM, that's going to be a different URL, a different port. Yeah, it's going to be, I'll tell you on the backside, it's the same connector, right? But the actual user interface is a different user.
Same.
The backside, the engineering of it,
Oh,
right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the Niagara connector. Yeah. Yep. I did say this is one thing that I was going to show you guys, and that is when I go to the cloud service here, it's going to open the property sheet, or the wire sheet, not the property sheet. And click over there. I want property sheet, not wire sheet. There we go. So when we go to channels, the channels underneath of it, depending on which of the services you have, are going to change what channels appear here. I have all three of the services on here. So if I go to backup, this is the Niagara recover channel. And then through policies, and then default backup policy. And now here, this should look familiar. Obviously, I don't know if you all go through the web view or the AX property sheet view is a little different. This is just the backup service, right? So if you are used to setting up the backup service, this is going to be the same. You can set your excluded folders, you can set your excluded files, and then you can set your execution time up here. Like I said, for me, it's Sunday at 3 a.m. plus or minus 4 hours. See the last trigger, the next trigger is all set there. And then the one change that I'd mentioned, which was the passphrase first password, is here. And so by default, this is going to be set to system passphrase. You can change it to system password if you have reasons to, if you don't want to expose your passphrase algorithm, or if you don't remember your passphrase, right? I'm sure that doesn't happen to any of you, that you don't forget that you don't remember your passphrase. But if you did, you can set this to password, and your decryption can be done by a password. Anything? Yeah.
Are there any limitations from Workbench to remote that you don't get remote right now?
The limitation is doesn't have a web view, right? So for the Honeywell tools, they have not all the tools have been built out as web view tools. They're still AX view tools. As those get built out, then that'll open it up. But the limitations are if you kind of want to have a checksum, right, on can I do this? If you can do it locally through a browser, you can do it through Root. Yeah.
Scrolling up.
Yeah.
I saw that. What's it? SMA expiration monitor?
Yep.
That's something you could email out at a time.
I suppose you could.
Right now, I'm trying to do it through the JSON toolkit, send it
Yeah.
early to everybody.
Yep. I suppose you could. I mean, it's an org in the station. There is also with the Cloud Suite subscription, with the NCS subscription, there are reminders that get sent out ahead of time before the subscription is due to expire as well. And they are, in order for the subscription license to be active, the SMA needs to be active as well. So that is going to be, you can't have a Cloud Suite subscription without an active SMA. Those are tied together, and for good reason, right? We need you to be able to keep it up to date for security purposes. Anything else on these?
Is the program service type stuff, robot editor, program blocks, all that stuff going to work in Niagara 5?
Oh yeah, that'll all be there. That will all be there. Only other thing. Oh, I suppose I'll show you this too. When I go up to, let me close these because now there's lots of stuff here. I had mentioned the system ID. You can see that there. That's the same as up here. So when you're looking at a station locally and you go and you look at the TCP/IP configuration, you see the IP address, and then you can see that it's the same in the URL. It's the same here. So yeah, that's there, right? It's something that's pretty easy to use and can almost be a little like, oh, okay, cool, right? But it's a powerful tool for you guys to be able to remotely access, manage, and even do engineering as well, right? Because you can do wire sheet engineering, you can do the BACnet device discovery, you can do the relations manager. All of that stuff is available through web views at this point. All right, so with that, we'll jump over to Well, here, we'll do alarms first. Alarms have been moved. Initially, they were a part of the data service portion. They've been moved out here. So the alarms are up here. If we go to the alarms, you can see all or unread. You can mark as unread. You can move things around. You can also access it if we go to the data service here. Here, I'll click on the alarms. And now you can see them all show up here. Now these are unfiltered, so these are all of the alarms for this customer. Obviously, there's a lot because we have a whole bunch of stations that we use for testing. You can filter them here. You can filter obviously by the device, by the duration, anything along those lines. And then you can also select. So I mass selected there. You can individually or mass select, and I can export all of them together. What that's going to do is that's going to create a CSV that each of those alarms will be a single line. If I was to select one and export it, that would basically be a CSV of a single line. It's a pretty straightforward thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Question though.
Yeah.
What's the notification? Is the notification coming now from the cloud, or is it still coming from your on-site hardware?
It's still coming from on-site hardware. Well, and
the reason for the question
it's a
is
yes.
the cellular world decided to screw us all in.
Yes.
Texting alarms.
Yep, I know.
So is there any service to do that conversion within Tridium?
Not yet.
Come on, man.
I know. Well, I should say yes. I should say yes. There is. Yes, there is a driver, but it requires additional hardware, and it requires a cell modem basically to send it out to basically attach effectively a cell phone to the side of and that's a whole process,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But there is not. We don't have one internally. There is a driver available on the marketplace from a third-party developer to send out SMS texts.
Change the format and just push it.
Yeah.
Without all the extra hardware.
Is that SMS Eagle? Am I talking to the right one?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I actually just came across it like a week ago.
Because there's some.
I haven't actually tested it. So
There's some subscription
Well,
sites also pop up.
yeah.
when we got blessed by the Verizons of the world,
Yes.
we had to find a solution pretty fast. And
Yeah.
that was the one that I found.
Okay.
And they are a very proactive company.
Okay.
But as far as testing it ourselves, we have not.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Curious.
Yeah, like I said,
Okay.
Well, I'm just making sure he's talking the same one that.
yes, yeah, we are, and that was one where I was trying to figure it out as well. Right. I was thinking like this is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, you buy
You know?
the license from the marketplace. It literally takes your notifications.
Yep.
It just goes out just like you'd have a council.
Awesome.
You just route it to the council,
Awesome.
goes straight to them. They handle everything.
Great. I like I said, I'd love to try it, but I just haven't had a chance to test it yet, kind of thing. So, okay, we got just a few minutes left. So quickly, I'll jump over to API connections. Right. So APIs, we won't dig into them too much, but this facilitates control out. We have there are three APIs. There's a telemetry API, which is histories. There's a control API, which is control, read, and write functions. And then there's an alarm API. So if you have a separate dashboard or service that you use, third-party FDD, fault detection, right, analytics, third-party programs, you can connect them via API. They can take in your telemetry, your control, and your alarms. As an example, just a quick example of this, I'll show you two examples. One of them is just a very simple dashboard that I built of the thermostat that's actually running my house, and then the thermostat that's in my basement, just kind of sitting there. No, my house is not 63 degrees, right? Well, it is in the basement, right? So
Your offices?
no, thankfully. That's where my lab is, though. So what you're seeing on the left, this is from the telemetry. This is the history API. This is all the data that is going up and is being held in the cloud server, right? Your question earlier about pricing, this is data that has been egressed. So the volume of this data is how the billing happens on which tier you fall into on the data service, right? The other two are just, it's the same price no matter the size of station.
Okay.
On the right here, this dial, this is the control API. So this is live input from the thermostat. Effectively telemetry, your total your total kind of route is from your computer, right? I'm from my PC to the cloud, right? For the control API, it's going from my computer to the cloud and then back down to the Jace and then back up to the cloud and back. So any read-write calls may take slightly longer than telemetry calls, right? But that's how that works. Alarm API works the same way. If I had an alarm readout here, it would be going up and just pulling from the cloud as opposed to from the Jace itself. And then quickly on the control API, I'll show some quick examples here. The control API, you'll also see things called the Entity Model Service API. When you onboard the device, it's going to build out an entity model. This is where if you have tagged your points, tagged your controllers, you're going to have a better, more complete entity model. When you onboard, it is going to assign a Niagara Cloud ID tag to everything on the station. And then on your histories, it is going to assign a Niagara Cloud telemetry ID tag to every history that's not excluded from that. So just as a quick example, I'm using Postman in this instance. It's an easy API tool. This is kind of the barest of bones to kind of show you how this works. There is this is a post. You can go out, send it. It's going to return. This is a simple request of find all the points. So here's all the points in there. We can also go through and we can write a point. In this instance, this is writing the I think it's like the heating set point for a station to, okay, it says success, and then I can also clear that point. So now this again is the history ID API, the history or the telemetry ID is going and grabbing from the cloud. These are going out all the way down to the Jace that's in my basement. And then if you have an alarm history query, I can go out here. This is the alarm API. This is a whole lot of information that I really tried to cram down there into about, what was that, 30 minutes or so? Right? Does anybody have any more questions? Otherwise, I can make sure you all have contact information and feel free to reach out and we can take a little more time addressing individual.
So you all are the first Honeywell group that we've spent any time showing this or talking to or explaining this. If there is interest, I've talked to Jeff. We want to start putting together some training for it. You know, he talked about the training. It's like a 4-hour class. Mm-hmm. So we'll put something together. And if you guys are interested in purchasing this stuff, I'm just going to tell you, we haven't put out a ton of information for these guys to know how or what to purchase. So have a little patience with us, but we will promise to get it right. Make sure we get you guys up to speed on it.
$1 million.
Jeff and I were just talking, and there might be some good things out there. But I'll let you talk to him about pricing and stuff. But like I said, there hasn't been a lot of information for them. So we will back them up and make sure we get all the right pricing if you have any questions and things like that. So just let us know, let them know, and we'll work with everybody. So kind of excited that this is the first place we've rolled it out. And just love to hear feedback as we again, come up to us. If you have any other Niagara questions or anything, grab Jerome before he leaves.
Yep. So Larry and I talked, we're gonna probably do some sort of virtual or maybe in person, but definitely and virtual remote cloud type class here sometimes.
Yeah,
great. We're gonna figure out how to get that done for you guys in short order. So
yeah.
Some of these tools will be available because we do have the pricing. I think you're gonna be surprised how affordable some of the pricing is that we looked at some of this file stuff today. And so we want to get those tools in your hands right away. So we'll work on that.
Is that right?
We'll work on that very good.
Yeah. And we have a curriculum in place and already set. So as soon as you guys
Ready to
want to
go.
schedule it,
Yeah.
I'm on my way down to teach it to
So
you.
we'll get something on the books here in the short term. So
Perfect.
more to follow.
Great.
Thanks, everyone. Take a break.
Hey, about 15 minutes, and then we're gonna come back to Moises. We'll do controller. You've got roadmap, you've got